I'm just going to quickly tell you a bit about the actual product itself. When you go out, when you leave here, when you go out and look into the streets, just look a bit deeper. I drive my wife crazy because I spend my life looking at bus shelters and light poles. And so our streets are cluttered with equipment. And the challenge here was to come up with something that was really quiet, because the information is the hero. The work that Mike and his team are doing in terms of developing that information is the most important thing for you. It's what you want. So we spent a lot of time trying to keep the product as simple and clean as possible, and something that could reflect this. It's quite a tough product as well, which kind of reflects New York streets, I think, for us. So this is just give you a quick, this is what you're going to see in a few weeks' time in New York. You're going to start seeing them pop up. These are some of the different sizes that we just tested to see how they looked. And you can see it's a very simple, clean line. We have a little beacon at the top, which is like a kind of lighthouse, just so you can pick it out in the street. But the rest of it's just very simple stainless steel structure, and then a little access panel at the bottom. And the most important thing is the glass facade that has all the information in it, which goes right to the edge. And this is the prototype. Prototyping is extremely important. If you're making anything, anyone who hasn't made anything, always test it, always try it. This is it being trialed in the factory. And we tested every element. This stainless steel is only 5 inches wide, so it's going to be a very slim element. And we kept the glass going right up to the edge. Now that will be a detail you'll hardly notice, but for us it was really difficult to achieve that, to get the glass right up against the steel. When we ran the tests on it, the original thickness of the glass was going to push it out to 5 or 6 inches. It would bend in the negative pressure of the wind. So we made it a little bit thicker, which actually was a bonus. It's going to look even better. It's got a sort of a half-inch thick piece of glass. This is shot peen stainless steel. This has all been tested in order to see, will it stain, will it rust, will anything happen to it, because it's got to survive in New York through all the various conditions, and you've seen some pretty horrific conditions in the last year yourselves. At the base, there's a ceramic panel. This is an industrial product. It looks really good, looks kind of like concrete. It's normally used for truck delivery areas, so it's extremely strong. I'm hoping no trucks drive over our product, but that can happen. And this is just a quick, to give you an indication that all of these parts are all made from a digitally formatted drawing converted to CNC, so all of the products are ready to go in a virtual form. And here's the prototype, and I'll just give you a quick look at the video of we're very excited about this because they just arrived yesterday, the first ones.
We are looking to extend the system over a period, so the investment the city's making is just not for one mode of transport. It will become multimodal and whole journey. And as part of that, kind of the mapping area in the core there that you're seeing is the first thing that we're evolving, and all the data sets, but it's going to roll out across the whole of New York. It's already going into the streets. Some of you may have seen it that live in Brooklyn, into bike share. The wayfinding system will carry through as a bonus to bike share into I think something like the 600 odd stations ultimately, 10,000 bikes going into the city. Again, it gives you an idea. It's the same language. We're also looking at for bus systems, expanding it through to the SBS, that Select Bus Service Network, within the next year as well. So again, a comprehensive rollout. And beyond that, we're engaging with partners to think about how we can expand it through to print and digital services. So creating an open platform, using the data, the resources, the planning guidance, and the identity to evolve it. So any partner could ultimately use parts of the system in their own right to generate information. And at the core, you know, people like DOT would use 100% of the system, other partners some of it, and third-party providers perhaps just agreeing to use the content and other elements of the system. We've taken our inspiration really for this project from a guy in Park called Kevin Lynch. Some of you may know him. I'm not going to recommend my own book today, but you should read his. It's called The Image of the City. It's really interesting. And kind of for the first time in my, certainly my experience, that back in the 50s, 60s, he was a guy that really started to kind of push boundaries. He was kind of an urbanist. He was an environmental psychologist. But from his perspective, he looked at cities through people's eyes and actually looked at how we can deconstruct cities in the way they're structured and formed in order to develop a language that enables people to read and understand them better. So we've taken a lot of influence out of that. And whilst we're urbanists, we work with architects. We don't just deal with buildings. It's actually, as I said, the people interaction in places is the thing that really drives us. So this kind of whole thing about legibility and city image and legibility, few cities are inherently legible. And, kind of what Lynch didn't do, he looked at the constituent parts of cities, its landmarks, its nodes, its major kind of hubs in the city. But what he didn't really foresee was the information age and the way that information can act as an overlay to augment your experience in places. And kind of, part of our philosophy is in designing for people first and foremost. We kind of look at not designing for one type of user in particular, but designing around the myriad needs and capabilities that people have. And, kind of this diagram looks quite complex, but basically, those on the left there that tell me the time-poor people basically want to be given pretty much specific itineraries. They want to be worked through to a specific agenda. To those that really want to kind of actually get lost, just enjoy the city, embed themselves in it, do their own thing in their own time frame. Now, people that are time poor, very dependent on information. Those that are time rich, arguably just want to meander, get used to the spatial structure, the way the sequence of spaces works, and the transport systems and various other things that really aid your personal navigation, your intuitive navigation of places. But it's the combination of how we design these various different elements that makes a city more legible or not. And I think what we're trying to do is get people to think that if they are first-time visitors, New York has 50 million visitors a year. Now, we need to convert them from being first-time or infrequent visitors and residents that don't use public transport, for instance, to get them to engage, to build mental maps, to extend their stay, and ultimately to push people into different areas of the city that they wouldn't otherwise experience. And that's got to be good for the economy. This kind of work pays for itself. Cost-benefit analysis is suggesting traditional transport products, heavy infrastructure, motorways, all those sorts of things. You maybe get a return of 3 to 1. With this type of product, for every $1 you invest, you'll get 20 back broadly. So there's a real case for it. Now, part of kind of choreographing this whole thing is that everything in a city is a sign. It's a semiotic code that we learn and becomes intuitive to us over time. And I think the role of the designer is to start to think about which elements in the whole kind of range or rich mix of elements that you can work with, design elements, that should be standardized and fixed and work across the city almost as iconic elements or moments that you use from time to time. To those that are more area-based or borough or neighborhood-based, which really are designed locally for particular areas of the city. So, Owen's been working on, with Samusa, the standardized bus shelters. It's part of a system. It's part of the iconography and story of New York. And similarly now with the wayfinding system we're starting to look at, they will be standardized. It will go everywhere. It will be delivered consistently to give predictability, to give brand recognition for wherever you are as a user in the city. We're talking about an integrated system. This is a word that really, we had fun with DOT, trying to get the idea across that in building a system, you have to build a language that converts from different modes and across all your journey stages and through various different forms and different communication channels from print to web to digital to create a seamless experience that becomes obvious and immediate to people. So we peeled it back. We had to start somewhere. We started with orientation, simple navigation, direction giving. But we always had in mind that we wanted to build a very extendable system that worked, as I said, across from signs to people-based services to print and web. But behind it all, building a digital platform to service any number of given information parts. London's been through a similar system. Now it puts something like 20,000 products and services from a similar data engine with design resources to work with it. We've evolved a range of core products from local area to kind of path products on the avenues and streets through to larger neighbourhood products. And they really mirror in scale and size the aperture that you're in a particular space at any given time. From major nodal spaces to, as I said, kind of narrower products that sit within the major avenues and streets. And that there are core products related to it, but we're aiming to extend that as a fully featured system to move across to bus services, to bike share, to other products and services. I've been through a whole process of building this in terms of planning first, thinking about user needs, not starting with graphic design or what something looks like, but how something functions and how we read the city and reinterpret that back, almost as a mirror to people in many ways. We've taken a very user-centered design approach. It's featured through every aspect of our designs in terms of talking to people, understanding needs and what's relevant and what makes sense to people. Crucially, everything we have to do has to be evidence-based. It has to be grounded in what people need. Otherwise, it will be superfluous or won't be understood and won't be used. It'll become the next level of street clutter if we're not careful. We've been through a process of diagnostics and user testing. We've evolved forward-facing mapping for the city. Again, it's something that we've learned from other projects. But broadly, the view that's, as you're looking at the city, the map mirrors the view in front of you. It's otherwise called heads-up mapping for sat-navs in cars and various other things as well. We've gone through a whole process of building data and content, agreeing all the area names for both the boroughs and neighbourhoods and particular areas of the city. A huge exercise in its own right. We've drawn data from a host of different sources. Do It, one of the government agencies, has a lot available, but we're creating really what is an open source platform for the city and for its partners. We've started to evolve probably the most comprehensive and detailed mapping system probably seen in a city anywhere in the world to date at the moment. And this is just the start where we're working out from Manhattan to a much wider area at the moment. We've evolved a graphic standard working closely with Pentagram to apply across not just pedestrian information systems but a whole host of products and services that will feature from the first point of your journey through NYC and Co. right the way through to information you see in hotels and other environments. We've designed the set out for a core product language, and we've designed what we feel are very functional but very beautiful maps. There's clear beauty in very clear functions to what we're trying to do here. Identifying where you are, walking distances, off-map directions. This type of product will be located in major streets and avenues. And as you get into larger spaces, you'll be greeted and meted by larger products. They're all double-sided as well. Very clear, very New York. The lineage and graphic language partly grows out of subways, so it feels quite familiar and should feel quite familiar to the city users already. Different scales and maps are used to give you overviews, broader overviews of the city. It also incorporates information for cycling and other material. And we've gone through a whole process of network planning, and all these activities have been ongoing over the past year to actually start to think where the system will be. And it's being installed first in Chinatown, and we'll move through the whole of downtown to Midtown and then to the other boroughs in due course. Particularly Long Island City and Prospect Heights are also part of the first phases. As I said, we've been through a process of user testing across the various boroughs. And we've had great feedback and great positivity. Well over 95% acceptance rates for the products. They found them very intuitive to use and very simple to actually use as well. And crucially, people are saying that generally they feel like they are rooted to the city, which is important. It doesn't feel something that's just helicoptered in from another place or another location. We've gone through a process of prototyping for colour function to get things right, and we're going through a manufacturing stage at the moment for the products. Watch this space. It's very exciting in terms of how it will move forward, and thanks very much for your time. Thank you.